Types of intervention. Types of intervention, and this is in relation to learning and development. Now, in educational settings, interventions are either focused on learning sessions, teaching sessions, or deviations away from the existing teaching practice. So interventions may be used to describe the focus we put on the learning sessions and maybe the practice of learning. I like using learning than teaching because there is no learning without teaching, but there can be teaching without learning. Somebody can teach, but the intended purpose, the intended group of people may not learn what they are being taught. So interventions are mostly done in schools, and this can be interventions on one-on-one basis based on a teacher to a student and a peer to a peer, or they can be delivered in groups. So as teachers, we intervene for learners to take the learning, the content. They can also learn from each other. They can learn from parents, it's true. But the aims of the program, when it comes to intervention, is to maybe carefully create assistance of a learner by the teacher, or create an environment of learning to boost quality, to boost fast teaching as a method of helping children, that the child learns fast from the teacher but not from the environment, not from the peers. That is when the learning that is being given becomes good learning, it becomes supported learning, it becomes acceptable learning. Now, what is intervention education? When we say intervention, what is intervention education? Intervention education has four components, and I'm focusing on intervention education in a classroom setup. So in a classroom setup, there are steps that a teacher can do or take to assist a learner to improve. These steps are the ones we are calling intervention, and they have four components. One, proactive. And here, proactive deals with areas of need before they become larger in terms of obstacles to education. So proactive means that the teacher takes care of the problem the learner is having before it becomes a big problem. For example, the teacher handles a handwriting issue for the learner before the learner gets to an exam or a situation they are writing and they are not writing well, maybe in a company. You are in a company, you are working, and your handwriting is poor. Proactive intervention was not taken. If proactive intervention was taken, then you would be better today, but you can still improve. Learning is a continuous process, and there is also always room for improvement. Then we also have a component called intentional, that this one specifically addresses an observable weakness or observed weakness. If there is a weakness that a teacher sees in a learner and decides to handle it before the learner comes to ask for assistance, we call that intentional component. The teacher can always see a problem and handle it. And let me warn parents, sometimes teachers have experience to handle problems before they become big. Stop saying that teachers should teach and go home. There are things they see that can affect your children. Allow them to do the intervention. Intervention is good and it can be done through intentional. Then number 3 is formal. And here, formal uses targeted methods for addressing specific needs and tracking progress. There are formal methods of handling issues, handling discipline, learning and growth development. Those formal ways of handling issues are good for intervention. And it's important. These are very important component because it deals with specifics. It goes to specific needs. And last but not least, we have flexible. This is a component, an intervention component, which adjusts methods based upon the needs of the student. That the teacher becomes flexible and they are able to suit into the expected needs of the learner. Now, How do human resource use intervention programs to develop the members of their teams? They can use analyzing, where they analyze the problems and solve them accordingly. They can analyze the conduct of the staff, assess the conduct of the staff, identify the areas of weakness, and decide to intervene. They can design the training programs which can identify specific objectives whereby the participants can comprehend and remember the sessions that they have been taken through, and then they correct themselves. They can also develop the training materials as a way to intervene. They develop exercises with specific objectives, maybe jumping together one on one, but with an objective of making people to work together, maybe. They can also implement the training interventions. When they are implementing, they are able to achieve the objectives. And lastly, they need to evaluate the program. They need to evaluate what they have done. Have they intervened well? Was there resistance? How do they deal with this resistance? So that is it for today. Next, we will be talking about organizing and developing training programs. Thank you very much.